What would you do if you were completely alone in the middle of the Pacific Ocean? No food. No fresh water. The scorching sun burns your skin by day, and the freezing wind chills you to the bone at night. There's no way to call for help. No land in sight. No rescue coming. Now imagine enduring this not for a week, not for a month, but for 438 days. This is the real-life survival story of José Salvador Alvarenga, the man who defied death, battled the elements, and drifted for over a year in one of the most unbelievable tales of human endurance ever recorded. What really happened out there? How did he survive starvation, dehydration, sharks, and madness? And most terrifying of all, what happened to his only companion? Stick around, because this story will shock you. Imagine being completely alone, floating in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. No food. No water. Just the scorching sun above and endless waves below. You have no idea where you are. You don't know if you'll live to see another day. And worst of all, you have no way to call for help. This is the true survival story of José Salvador Alvarenga, a man who spent 438 days lost at sea. No one believed he could make it. But against all odds, he survived. How did he do it? How did he fight off starvation, dehydration, and madness? And most terrifying of all, what happened to his only companion? Stay tuned, because this story is unlike anything you've ever heard before. It all began on November 17, 2012. José Salvador Alvarenga, a 37-year-old fisherman from El Salvador, was working in Costa Azul, Mexico. He had spent years fishing these waters, and today was supposed to be just another routine trip. His job? Go out to sea, catch some fish, and return within a few days. On this trip, he was joined by Ezequiel Cordoba, a 22-year-old inexperienced fisherman. It was Cordoba's first time on such a deep-sea trip, and he had no idea what lay ahead. They carried basic supplies. Heavy checkmark a small ice chest to store fish. Heavy checkmark a two-way radio to communicate. Heavy checkmark a few gallons of water. Heavy checkmark some tortillas and instant soup for food. Within hours of setting out, the weather took a violent turn. A massive storm came out of nowhere. Winds howled at 60 miles per hour, waves as tall as buildings crashed into the tiny boat, and rain poured down like a flood. Then, disaster struck. Warning, the radio antenna snapped. Warning, the engine failed. Warning, the boat was dead in the water. For 5 days, the storm raged on, pushing them further and further away from land. When the skies finally cleared, they realized the horrifying truth. They were completely lost in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. With no engine, no radio, and no oars, they were at the mercy of the currents. Their food and water? Almost gone. Their chances of survival? Almost zero. With no way to call for help, survival instincts kicked in. Drinking seawater was deadly, so they collected rainwater using their empty bottles. Food? They had none. They were starving. Backhand index pointing right, so they started catching small fish with their bare hands. Backhand index pointing right, they even caught birds that landed on the boat and ate them raw. José knew that if they didn't eat, they would die. But there was a problem. Cordoba refused to eat raw food. Seen, Cordoba looks weak, refusing to touch a fish while José desperately tries to convince him. After weeks of starvation, Cordoba's body began to shut down. He grew weaker and weaker, his organs failing. Then, one night, he simply stopped breathing. José was devastated. His only companion was gone. He kept Cordoba's body on the boat for days, talking to him, unable to accept reality. Eventually, he had to push the body overboard and say goodbye. Now, he was truly alone. For over a year, José fought for survival. Heavy checkmark, he caught turtles and drank their blood. Heavy checkmark, he ate jellyfish and raw seabirds. Heavy checkmark, he drank rainwater and his own urine when water ran out. The loneliness was unbearable. He started hallucinating, imagining Cordoba was still there. He talked to the ocean. He talked to the birds. Many times, he thought about giving up. But something inside him refused to die. On January 30, 2014, after 438 days at sea, Jose saw something he hadn't seen in over a year. He had drifted over 6,700 miles, all the way to the Marshall Islands. Jose collapsed on the beach. He was sunburned, skeletal, and delirious, but he was alive. His story shocked the world. Doctors were stunned. Heavy checkmark, he had no major health issues. Heavy checkmark, he was mentally strong despite the trauma. But not everyone believed him. Cordoba's family accused him of cannibalism, but there was no proof. He later wrote a book, 438 Days, telling his incredible story. 438 days. Over a year lost at sea. And yet, he survived. What do you think? Could you last even one day under these conditions? Let us know in the comments below. And if you love mind-blowing survival stories, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video.